most of my career I was quite a serious wrestler up to that point, and it was Ring of Honor and Japan, where it's all very sports orientated.
Yeah.
For me, it was just something different to go out there and just ham it up and just be totally ridiculous. It was a lot, and also, but you're still mixing in the great wrestling with that, so you can never take that away because it is professional wrestling after all.
Hey guys, what is up? This is Dan from the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, and I am joined by somebody who I would consider a legend. Now, I know the word legend gets thrown around quite a lot, but this man is a true legend of British wrestling and wrestling in general, and that man is Mr. Doug Williams. How are you doing today?
Nice to be here. Thanks very much for having me.
No worries. Thank you so much for taking this time out of your day really to join me for this. Obviously I hope that you're keeping well, and we're hoping obviously we're going to see you back in a ring soon. So let's just basically get straight into the elephant in the room really. So you recently announced that you're looking around for it. So you recently announced that you are going to be returning to the ring, obviously making the decision to retire in 2018 after 25 years on the wrestling scene. So, basically what influenced that decision to return to wrestling? And I think many would probably say, why now?
It's primarily because, of the pandemic and the situation of lockdown where, the vast majority of us have been stuck inside our homes doing absolutely nothing that we enjoy and we love for the last year or so. And it's just about over a year now, isn't it? And I kind of figured in that time that, the things that life's too short just to sit back and not do the things you really enjoy. And obviously one of those things was wrestling, or is wrestling. So that really what sparked my decision. I mean, I had a lot of injuries back in 2018, and they kind of spurred me for retirement as well. A lot of those injuries are cleared up. I've had neck surgery, other bits and pieces that are better now. So I feel that I can still, go out there and wrestle a great match and entertain the fans. So that's really the reason why. I'm just going to look forward to getting back in the ring and entertaining the people that are probably chomping at the bit to see wrestling after being stuck in their homes for a year or so. So we'll see. Yeah,
most definitely. And I suppose for yourself, it's probably going to be as long as you feel like healthy enough that you can go and at a level, I suppose, that you're happy with, because I'm sure you hold yourself in such like high esteem in the wrestling industry that, you don't want to be going out there and being like, oh, can I do this? It's a case of, right, I can do this. So let's just go out there and show people who Doug Williams is and what he's all about, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reasonably lucky in that my style has always been reasonably grounded and low risk anyway.
Yeah.
I could probably carry on do it. I won't have to vary my style too much. I might have to change up some of the moves, some of the holds that I did previously on a regular basis. But I still think I can go out there and perform at a level that I'm going to be happy with, if not everybody else.
And I suppose that's the main thing is, being at that level that you're happy with, because then, that will ultimately, I guess, be for you the spur of like, can I still do this sort of thing? And, I think once that goes, that's I guess when you're thinking like, is it really that time to kind of hang the boots up? But, if you can still go, everyone in the UK, I'm guessing, is so excited to see you back. I know myself, I've watched you quite a few times. I've seen you a few times live as well, and it's always been an entertaining spectacle. And for me as a wrestling fan, it's great to have such a legend of the British scene back. And I just want to go back to kind of where you started really. So your early days, so in the FWA. That's like going way back, the early 2000s.
Oh, yeah, well, that's not even my. But I've already been wrestling 10 years by that point, so it's early days for you. Maybe
early days for me, because I guess like that was the early 2000s. You started your career, I guess, was it 93? Was it
93?
You started your career was it NWA Hammerlock?
That's correct. Yeah.
So you started out with Hammerlock, and then obviously, I guess you first burst onto the scene. I guess people knowing who you were was FWA. You actually made a bit of history there as well. You were the British champion longer than anybody else. I think it was 909 days over your 2 reigns.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
And the person that came closest to that was actually Damien O'Connor, the guy that beat you for that title. Who ended your 2nd reign. So.
No, did he? Okay.
Yeah. So I think you had the 2nd longest singular reign.
Okay.
After him, but then your combined 2 reigns were longer than anybody else.
Oh,
He was closest to you. So I just want to go back to the FWA like times really for you, and just touch on like what were some of like your standout memories for them, because I know they were probably, I guess it'd be fair to say, probably one of the biggest promotions in the UK at the time, and it was that company that everyone wanted to work for. And I specifically remember there was a match between yourself and Eddie Guerrero that, you know, just want to get some of your thoughts on that and some other moments that you can share with us.
Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, I think what the FWA provided that was missing from the scene then was the big event type special super shows where they bring in a couple of, you know, hot US stars and just put on a fantastic show. And you know, as opposed to like a touring family show, they just built up for these big super shows. And it was obviously always nice to be a part of those. It's interesting you mentioned the Eddie Guerrero match, because that actually wasn't FWA, even though FWA ran it. It was promoted and run. It was promoted by a guy called Tommy Boyd, who's a radio. He was a radio presenter, and he got the deal with the TV company, with Bravo, to put on this singular show. So even though everything about it is FWA, the ring, the announcers, you know, the production, we weren't actually, or FWA weren't actually, I won't say allowed, but they didn't actually use their name as such. However, yeah, that talking about that match, and a lot of people mention that match to me. If I watch it, I don't particularly think I have a good showing in it, because he kind of eats me up. But it did show, me, or it demonstrated to me at the time what it takes to be a world-class professional wrestler. Yeah. So what that level is between working just a normal independent scene and then working at a world-class major attraction level, it showed me that difference and what I had to work towards in order to become that as well. So that's probably the main thing I took out of that match. Obviously, the notoriety I got from beating him helped immensely. And that was all around the same time as Ring of Honor came into existence. So I obviously went over to Ring of Honor at that same sort of time. And getting back to the FWA, obviously, as you mentioned, I had a couple of long title reigns with them. One of them starting when I actually beat Christopher Daniels for the FWA title in Philadelphia for Ring of Honor, that joint agreement going on. And that's one of my favourite matches to watch on my own. And I always remember Chris, the match actually when Christopher Daniels won the title was a 3-way between me, Jody Fleisch, and Christopher Daniels. And I always remember that match as well being one of my favourites. You should be able to find it somewhere on YouTube if you look. But you know, the FWA events, they're always an event, because we build to these one big shows, and it's always very exciting. And always, you know, I was lucky in that because I was the champion, 9 times out of 10 I was wrestling you know, like a US import, like a Steve Corino or Jerry Lynn or someone like that, or I'd be it'd be a culmination of some feud, or I'd be facing one of the domestic guys. So I was quite lucky and always had something quite meaty to get my teeth into while I was working on those shows. Yeah, it was just a really fun time, you know. And you know, they've been going 6 years, but they kind of tried to run before they could walk, and you know, they managed to pull off running a couple of shows at the Coventry Sky Dome, which held like 3,000-4,000 people, but it wasn't enough to sustain at that time. Maybe they're a bit ahead of their time. If FWA had been around like in 2014, 2015, when the British team was really taking off again, it might be a different story. But I think they set the groundwork for what happened in the late 2010, and certainly a lot of the guys who are top wrestlers now were fans of FWA and UK wrestling. So probably it's made its mark on the scene now because of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for definite. And you touched a little bit on the fact that you were with like Ring of Honor around that same time. So in Ring of Honor, obviously you became the Pure Champion. And so in that tournament, you were involved in the tournament for that championship initially. I believe, was it CM Punk that eventually beat you in that tournament? Was it, because it led to Punk and AJ in the final of that?
I don't remember.
Sorry, I'm taking it back to all the way back to like 2004 now. I know it's quite a way away, but yeah. So what are your memories for the Pure Championship? Because I mean, there's something very similar in NXT UK at the moment, which the Heritage Cup, but that's being held under the traditional British rules. But this was kind of somewhat the same, but slightly different.
Yeah, I think it was just quite unique because they implemented the rules, regarding rope breaks. And that led to a little bit more interesting storytelling than you might otherwise have, or different storytelling anyway to a normal match. And it certainly forced us as wrestlers to just be a bit more technical and have a little bit more thought about the holds and the moves that we're putting on, and building that into the match. And I remember I wrestled the likes of Alex Shelley and Austin Aries, and just having fantastic matches with them. And then I lost the title to John Walters, who's another great guy, in his hometown as well, which was good. It was nice to be part of something unique, definitely.
I guess so. With the Ring of Honor stuff, there was obviously those top names, and there was that initial crossover with some of the TNA talent. Because I know that AJ was there as well at the time, and then with AJ obviously having to relinquish the championship, there was like the deal had fallen through or something with the crossover of talent. So then that obviously merged over with when you then went over into TNA. Obviously AJ would have been there as well. So just want to touch on the TNA stuff a little bit. So you went into TNA. So initially were you initially paired with Magnus and Rob Terry, or how did that all come about? Was it just these are British guys, chuck them all together, or was it a case of?
I'll just take you back a little bit. So TNA were looking to run their first tour of the UK in 2008, so they contacted me to do that.
Yeah.
And I signed a contract with them off the back of that in 2008. However, I still had 4 tours of Japan that I was contracted to do.
Yeah.
So even though TNA signed me in 2008, they didn't actually have any plans to use me until the following year. My last tour of Japan was February 2009. So once that was out of the way, TNA said, "Okay, we'll use you." So they signed me, but just to make sure they had me. But in that intervening period, that time from June 2008 to May 2009, they also signed Nick and Rob.
Yeah.
And they tried something with Nick initially based on his old gladiator gimmick. But when they knew that he probably needed a little bit more seasoning and a little bit more ring work, I think the decision was made to put him in a tag team with me, because I don't think they really knew what to do with me either at that time.
Yeah.
So, so in May 2009, I just got the call to say, we'll put you in a tag team with Nick and Rob as well, as the other member of your stable, and we'll push you as quite a big heel tag team. And I'm fine with that. It's something different anyway. Just being those overly British, heel character.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I understood what my role was. It was to help mentor and tutor Nick and Rob, and help them become better wrestlers, which I think I like to think I did. It just started from there. So from May 2009, British Invasion was born, and away we went. It was fun.
And then you had obviously a tag title run with Nick as part of that as well. So, I guess it's a lot easier for you going into an American promotion as a Brit, because then you'll get that heel heat kind of thing from the American fans. As if you're doing like the overly British gimmicks, it's a lot easier, I guess, to get them to.
Yeah, it's a ready-made gimmick, isn't it? And even back then, the old using the old patriotic gimmick to get yourself over was very, still very a thing you could do, now.
Yeah.
We just had a lot. We just hammed it up and had a lot of fun with it, and did ridiculous things, singing the national anthem in the middle of the ring, and prancing and posing, and rubbing our wrists together, what have you. All the little things that we did just to not just amuse ourselves, but irritate the American audiences. That's what's so different. I mean, for me, that's what's so different from before, because obviously most of my career I was quite a serious wrestler up to that point, and it was Ring of Honor and Japan, where it's all very sports orientated.
Yeah.
For me, it was just something different to go out there and just ham it up and just be totally ridiculous. It was a lot, and also, but you're still mixing in the great wrestling with that, so you can never take that away because it is professional wrestling after all. But yeah, it was just something different for me at that stage of my career too.
Yeah, so it's something that you can have fun doing what you love, sort of thing as well. And in front of an audience, and that's always a good thing. And so obviously you had more success in TNA as well. You were TNA TV champion. You defeated AJ Styles. Just want to know, what was your memories of that?
Oh yeah, well, that's my favourite match in TNA by far. It was just amazing. I mean, I hadn't wrestled AJ. Maybe we'd done one match previous to that on TV, and we'd done a 3-way for FWA a long time before that. But we hadn't wrestled a lot. But I think people seem to think we had, but no, we hadn't. And that's probably the third match we'd ever had, and it was just it was just great. It was great fun.
And then you had the match for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship against AJ and Rampage Brown. Was that in 2014? I think that was.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Gloucester.
Yeah.
And that was something that was really interesting as well to watch that match, and obviously that being for the New Japan Pro Wrestling. They actually ran a show in the UK like a couple of years back at the Copper Box over in the Olympic Park. So yeah, it's like that would have been like a really nice way to kind of get you back into that scene. It would have been nice to see someone like yourself on one of those shows. Like, is that maybe something you're looking at?
Yeah, I'm a Noah man through and through, though. That's the thing.
Noah man through and through.
Yeah, pretty loyal to Noah. So yeah.
Yeah, I suppose it's one of those things, isn't it? It's like, you get a lot of these, like, say, WWE guys at the moment. They're like, no, I'm there through and through. It's like, I'm not going anywhere else. And obviously we respect the loyalty in that, and that's a good thing. Going back to TNA just for a brief while, so you also were an X Division champion, and you kind of lost that title initially in kind of strange circumstances. It was not actually in the ring. It was because of a volcanic ash cloud that was famous at that time. You were stranded in the UK, weren't you? And couldn't get back over to.
No, that's right, because I was actually 2010, wasn't it?
Yeah, around that time.
Yeah, I actually was still living in the UK at that point. So I'd flown home between tapings, and then the volcano erupted, and all the flights were grounded. I was stuck in the UK, and they kept TNA tried to get me back. They kept rebooking flights, and it actually got to the point where I was at the airport in departure lounge, and the flight got cancelled, so I had to go home again. And so they just, for whatever reason, stripped me of the title on the pay-per-view that was filmed on the Sunday. And then when I eventually got back to the States, which was the following set of TV tapings, I just beat Frankie Zarin for the title and won it back. So it kind of strike me as odd. I don't know why they stripped me of the belt just to put it back on me.
Yeah, it's one of them things that surely you would have just like continued. I'm sure like the fans would have understood if they've got TVs, they could see that this is going on in the world. If they said, look, Doug can't physically get here to defend the title, but we'll have say like even a series of number one contenders matches or something, for example. And then as soon as it was kind of safe for you to travel and get back out there, then you could have just defended that then. But
I know, but there we go. Therein lies the minds of TNA back in the day.
One of those things, isn't it? And then obviously so just the last little bit of TNA was probably the most famous thing from TNA was the Wembley Arena match with Ric Flair.
Oh yeah. Okay.
2011, January 29th.
Yeah.
Find out you're working the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Yeah.
What's your reaction to it? Like when you first find out, how did you find out, and how did you think it all went?
They had announced that quite a while before, probably in the initial announcements for the UK tour, just as a selling point for the Wembley show.
Yeah.
And I remember it was quite funny because it was actually on again, off again, on again, off again, because Flair was the manager for Beer Money at the time.
Yeah.
And so he was, one day he wanted to wrestle, next day he didn't want to wrestle. He just wanted to manage, and the next day he wanted to wrestle. And for whatever reason, he was persuaded that it was a good idea, and rightfully so, because obviously that would have been one of the main build matches for the Wembley show.
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, I didn't take it, it wasn't anything personal. I just think it was his own preference that, you know, whatever deal he had with TNA, he probably felt he just wanted to go out there and have, you know, like, you know, get out in front of the fans and manage and do what he wanted to do. But yeah, the match happened anyway, so that was fine. And the other thing about that particular tour is I had horrendous toothache.
Ooh,
I had an abscess in one of my teeth at the back, and it was absolutely killing me. And I had painkillers that I got prescribed by the dentist. So I went to the dentist on the first day of the tour just to get it sorted out. But it kind of made me kind of, I wouldn't say sleepy, but, you know, like painkillers, sometimes they just make you a little bit
like drowsy,
zoned out. So me going out for wrestling Ric Flair at the time, I was kind of a little bit zoned out. So maybe I didn't appreciate it as much, or wasn't excited as much as I should have been. And unfortunately, yeah, and then Rick injured his shoulder in the match, unfortunately, as well, so we had to cut it short. I still think we did like 14 or 15 minutes anyway. Yeah. But it was amazing experience. I mean, I've done Wembley a few times, but that's one of the high points. Yeah.
I can imagine. So was it one of those, I'm guessing it was Rick pretty much, I think I've heard you speak about it previously, Rick was mainly just calling everything on the fly in the ring sort of thing.
I didn't see him until, I didn't see him until we were out there, to be honest with you.
Really? So you've not even been like, oh, this is going to be the finish to the match.
No, yeah. So, and it was agents that were going back and forth between me and him. So, yeah.
Joys of Zoom nowadays. You could have just done a Zoom chat.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Plan a match over Zoom. So,
well, I'm used to that. I mean, I've turned up late at venues before, 5 minutes before I'm due to go on, got changed, and just gone straight out to the ring and wrestled. It's not unusual. In fact, sometimes it makes things a little bit easier because you're not, stressing about
missing spots and that kind of stuff. I guess, I mean, what would you actually prefer though? Like, if someone said to you, right, you can choose, do you want to just go out and call it on the fly, or would you rather sit and plan, or does it all depend on the opponent?
I'd rather just do it when I'm out there, to be honest with you.
Just call it all on the fly.
You can adapt, and you can adapt to how the audience are reacting. Yeah. And if your character's strong enough, and you're professional enough, then it's never a problem. You've been trained correctly. It's never a problem.
I suppose as well, it's like getting that, you can get that rapport with the guy while you're out there as well, and gauge what, as you say, gauge
or not,
as
the case might be.
Yeah, I'm sure there's been a few duds in there, a few along the way where you've had to kind of carry people to something, but such a professional, I'm sure you managed to still get a decent enough match out of them.
Yeah, sometimes.
Just wanted to touch a little bit on like some of the more like the recent stuff. So obviously there's a few like places that are going to be looking to possibly get Doug Williams in there. Obviously we can't speak too much about like whether you have or haven't signed any agreements with places. I'm not going to go into that, but just wanted to get a couple of thoughts on bits and pieces. So obviously with the UK, there's NXT UK that have obviously they've got a few of the different UK promotions in there. There's Progress, got a lot of talent that have gone there. You were a champion over in Progress as well. Quite a few of the NXT UK guys have come there. A few of the guys that you worked with on the independent scene as well are in there from back in the day. Is that somewhere where potentially you could see yourself going, maybe going after that Heritage Cup that we spoke about previously?
Yeah, I mean, as it stands at the moment, last year I signed a contract with Ring of Honor to do their, that past and present show and their pure title tournament. And that contract runs until the end of this year. So I'm actually back to them. So any other major company I can't approach, or talk to at the moment anyway. And as much as I'd like to do something and help NXT UK, it will be after that contract runs out. So maybe next year when I'm, and by that point I'll be up and running, all my ring rust will be gone. Maybe it'll be a great time. I'm just kind of sticking, especially in the UK, with obviously independent promotions, getting myself back out there, and just working with guys that are on the up, really, that haven't signed any contracts. People that have filled the spots that were previously taken by guys that are now contracted out. That's probably kind of one of my main reasons for coming back as well, just helping some of the newer guys and rebuilding the British scene.
Yeah. So you say obviously about the about your contract running until later this year. So does that mean, is that Doug Williams for Royal Rumble 2022 confirmed then?
I don't know about that. I'm not sure. To be honest with you, I'm not sure I'd pass the WWE's physical health test. You know, you know, I don't know. I don't know. Well, I don't know. Maybe I would. My injuries weren't that bad, but
you never know.
You never know.
But they've got obviously some competition now in the form of AEW. Obviously, you being a Fulham fan, would you be in Tony Khan's ear there for a bit of like the, you know, you're the owner of Fulham, I'm a Fulham fan. Let's there you go.
That's the link, isn't it? That's it. That's the link. Maybe he'll bring me in as a footballer gimmick.
There you go. Bring you in as footballer gimmick.
That's
getting his ear about some transfers and
yeah, we certainly needs that. Well,
yeah. So I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Because obviously WWE had the WCW links previously.
Sure.
There's a lot of like people that are comparing AEW somewhat to a WCW, or there's some people even comparing them to TNA. But obviously they're still running as Impact. But I mean, what's your thoughts on AEW? Is that maybe potentially after the contract's up somewhere that you could potentially look at as well?
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm open to all opportunities, and yeah, that's I obviously know a lot of the guys that work in AEW, so that would be interesting. They do seem to have a lack. They've got like one British guy, haven't they? I think Kip is probably the only British guy they've got at the moment, Kip Sabian. So we'll have to. It'd be nice to get some more representation on the screen, wouldn't it? I think they're on ITV, aren't they, as well? So they get quite a good viewership in this country.
Yeah, they are. I think they're consistently beating NXT quite a bit in the ratings as well, like the US version of NXT. But
okay.
Yeah, so that's obviously another option. And then I guess the other option for you really is to go and join your old friend Nick Aldis over in the NWA. You know, Nick's doing some fantastic work. You know, he's a brilliant representation of British wrestling at the moment over there. Is that maybe something that you'd look at, is going over Doug Williams versus Nick Aldis on Power? Yeah,
I'd definitely like to, because, well, obviously, I really enjoyed the NWA Power shows last year, watching those. And I've never been a world heavyweight champion, have I? So it'd be nice to have a shot at the NWA title.
And I think that'd be great. It just literally.
I mean, I was supposed to in 2018, but because he lost it to Cody at the time, became a number one contendership match.
Right.
So it'd be nice to have another opportunity. And I think I've fit in quite well there. I've fit in quite well.
Yeah, and there's always the option as well of you two teaming up potentially as well to go after tag titles as well. But I'm guessing for you it's that whole like world heavyweight championship thing that, you know, you would be going after, and that would be.
That's it. I mean, that's the one thing I've got left. You know, so I've never won. So yeah,
still plenty of time. There's still plenty of time.
Yeah, another 20 years or so.
Plenty of gas in the tank yet, mate, I'm sure. So yeah, you've been obviously working a little bit since you announced your retirement. That you've done a few little shows. Is it in Germany and Japan? You did a couple of
they were all ones that I'd contracted to
already.
Because obviously the Progress show was a stipulation match. So even though I decided that I would retire at the end of 2018. That show was in September. I still had some contracted shows to do. So I wrestled in Hanover, and I wrestled in Tokyo for Noah, and a few other little bits and pieces as well, just to run that. And then obviously, and then Noah brought me back at the beginning of last year to do another couple of shows, which was nice. The plan was for me to go over there semi-regularly last year, but obviously that could happen. So maybe I can get back in there towards the end of this year again.
Yeah,
when everything opens up.
Yeah, hopefully. Also, just on a quick thing about that. So with the Germany and Japan thing, are there any? Is there any like talent that are on the rise over there that you feel that we should be on the lookout for as like wrestling fans, who you think, oh, these are going to be like the next big things in wrestling?
I don't know really, because I think a lot of especially in Germany, a lot of the guys were the guys that are on the shows that have been around for years.
Okay.
You know, they're quite well-known names. And in Japan, Noah are pushing their younger guys. You know, Shiozaki now, I can't remember his name now, but who their junior heavyweight champion is. But they're kind of pushing their younger guys now, and yeah, they're keeping the promotion going, and it's really good to see that. You know, they're not relying on, even though now Muta is the champion and Noah, they still have a focus on pushing the younger guys. And when I went to Noah in 2018, and I hadn't been there since 2009, I probably knew like 3 guys on the roster. It changed so much.
Yeah,
changed so much in that time. Just the progression of younger guys, but. You know, they're doing okay. It's good. It's good to see.
Sounds like it's positive. They're doing positive things. They're obviously,
Yeah.
say, building up all the young talent. You know, that aside, so is there anybody in particular, like whether it's UK, Germany, Japan, America, anyone that you've not previously worked with, perhaps that you'd like to get in the ring with and have a match?
Oh, that's a funny question. It's difficult to say because I'm not really that familiar.
No,
I haven't really watched wrestling in the last couple of years since I retired. And what part of the excitement for me is going to shows and meeting this new talent, and then helping them develop, and then seeing and spotting people that I think are going to be big stars, and that's just one of the things that's bringing me back. But it's difficult for me to name any names, unfortunately.
No, that's absolutely fine. No worries.
And really, the only stuff I watch on a regular basis is stuff of people that are already on national television anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like NXT and AEW is really the only kind of thing I watch on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, any of those guys perhaps that you'd like to get in there with that you?
Oh, you know, there's loads of guys there's some great guys in AEW, isn't there? There's MJF and Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin. You know, these young guys are all great. NXT, I'll probably work with most of the guys, or as they were coming up anyway. You know, but
yeah,
I'd always quite like to step in with Adam Cole. I've never worked with him. And the other guys, I mean, like Finn Balor I've worked with before, obviously, when he's been over here. It's just, yeah, I don't know really. Whatever chances come my way, I'm happy to work with anyone.
Yeah, I suppose for anybody that gets in the ring with you, especially the younger guys, they're just going to be, I guess, like a sponge, just trying to get as much from you as they can when they're in the ring with you. And, you know, is that maybe something that you're looking at doing as well, as maybe some like seminars with some of the younger guys?
Yeah, I've got seminars lined up already.
Mm-hmm.
So to help develop the younger talent, and that's really the key, isn't it? Just keep the business going, help rebuild the business again. It's just get out there and impart whatever knowledge I can onto the new guys.
Yeah. And is there any advice that you'd give to anybody that's coming up in the business?
Yeah, just get your fundamentals down. Make sure that you can, you're before you do anything else, you're a solid. You know, you got the basics, and you're a good solid wrestler. And then everything else flows from there. Everything else develops from there. I just see it so often that the fundamentals seem to be lacking, and just understanding how to sell and what selling is all about, and the reasons for doing it just seem to be lacking a lot now. So those are sort of things that I'll be trying to impart my knowledge on. I mean, the athleticism nowadays is off the charts, and
yeah, definitely
compared to when I started. But yeah, I just think it's the art of psychology and the storytelling and that side of it that maybe needs a little bit of knowledge put forward.
And I guess more of like, for some of the guys, it's more like taking it from some of the more high flying stuff to somewhat of a bit more of a mat game as well. Because, you know, if that's not kind of down, if someone gets you in holds, it's like you can have all the flips and that you want, but if you don't know how to get out of a basic hold, then, you know,
that's it is wrestling after all, isn't it?
What are you kind of doing in there, you know?
Exactly. And the holds, you know, they've all got to mean something. So it's just making people understand why they're doing something and why they're putting a hold on, and and how it feeds into the whole story of the match. That's the sort of thing I can probably show people quite easily.
and it was always described to me as when you're in a ring, it's like you're in there. It's more like a dance that you're working with the person. You're not in there working against them 90% of the time. And that was,
yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
that was advice I was given.
I always go in there assuming that they don't know anything. Yeah,
but I suppose for you that's years of experience. So that's coming from coming from all of that. You know,
you cover all bases and all eventualities. That
exactly
any scenario that might occur, you've got it covered. Generally.
I suppose you got to think like, okay, when they come off them ropes, what are they going to do? It's like, are they going to come at me with? Are they going to throw a punch at me? Are they going to try and duck something? It's like, you know, just got to work from all angles, I guess. So,
that's it. Absolutely.
So yeah, I've just got a couple more quick ones just to ask you. And so these are, the first one is just pick for me one match which will define you as a wrestler. So if someone doesn't know Doug Williams, pick one match that you would say defines you.
I think me against AJ Styles for the TNA television title is probably a great example of my style of wrestling and what I can do.
And you say that was your favorite. Is that your favorite match as well that you've been a part of, or was
favorite match in TNA? I think a couple of Ring of Honor matches are probably I enjoy more at the time, but they'd probably be very difficult to find. So if you see any match of me versus any match of me versus Nigel McGuinness from any promotion, that's probably a great example of what I can do best as well. Because me and Nigel, we worked everywhere, everywhere. So
Nigel was amazing in the ring as well.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he really was good. Yeah,
it's a pity that he injuries, wasn't it, cut him short. But...
yeah, unfortunately, but he's carved himself out a nice little niche as a commentator now.
Yeah, so it's really refreshing as well to hear that British accent on TV and a bit of familiarity for us lot. So also, just the final one is just, so if you could pick one match that doesn't involve you but would define why you love wrestling, what would that match be?
Oh, that's a good point, isn't it? Don't know. That's tough on that. Maybe the first American match that I ever saw that blew me away and made me think I was on that I wanted to be a wrestler was Savage and Steamboat from WrestleMania 3. To me, that encompassed everything I loved about wrestling. They had flamboyant characters in Randy Savage, amazing technical wrestling. It was fast-paced, and the match was over with the crowd. It elicited amazing reactions. So I think that's probably the one match that to me defines what wrestling is and should be.
Exactly. And I guess on that, then that's a great way to say, you know, thank you for everything that you've done for the British wrestling scene and that you're going to continue to do. We look forward to obviously seeing you soon when it's safe to do so back in a British ring. So from me, that's everything. Unless you've got anything that you'd like to add to anything, if there's anything that you want to promote or anything.
Just plug my social media. So I'm on Twitter at Doug Williams UK and I'm on Instagram at Doug Williams GB. I've got an online merchandise store opening very soon. So look out for that on my social medias. Obviously, any shows I'm doing, any events, any signings, any seminars I'm doing, they're all going to be promoted through social media. So just anybody who's watching, anyone who's listening, just keep your eyes peeled and come along to anything where you might want to see me in action.
And anyone that's wants to be a future wrestler, get yourself down to one of this guy's seminars, and you know,
absolutely,
we'll teach you how to be the best wrestler you can.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure sitting down talking with you.
Cheers, Dan. No problem at all. No problem at all.
And I look forward to seeing you hopefully in a ring down the road soon.
Yeah, I'll see you at a live event somewhere.
Lovely. Okay. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
So, guys, there you have it. That was my interview with Doug Williams. If you like what you see, make sure you click like, share, and subscribe. Tap the bell for notifications. We have got a lot more wrestling content coming on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, including more wrestler interviews, including pay-per-view predictions, reviews, and some live streams for you guys. Thank you so much for checking it out. Thanks to Doug Williams for joining me, and we will see you guys soon.